trailers, trailers, trailers. The internet has been going mad with trailers this past about 3 or 4 days, ever since Star Wars released their trailer, and it feels a bit like all the studios are trying to one-up themselves. But the one that came out that sort of got me the most interested was definitely the Batman v Superman trailer. It was originally leaked, and then it was put out legitimately a couple of hours later, much in line with Age of Ultron. Same thing happened, it got leaked, and then they were just like, oh, screw it, we'll just put it out for the masses to see. I think it was supposed to come out either today or yesterday, but it came out about 3 or 4 days ago. And I've been looking at it ever since, I've been watching it and trying to work out whether I actually like it or not. And I'm coming to the conclusion that, yeah, I kind of do. So the trailer kicks off with a bunch of voiceover and stuff, and there's this thing in the distance, it's a statue, and it's slowly zooming into the statue, and you hear a few voices, and everyone's like either for Superman or against Superman. You hear Lex Luthor's voice for the first time, Jesse Eisenberg, talking about how devils don't come from the ground, they come from the sky, so he's obviously very anti-Superman. But there's a few people that have legitimate arguments for and against in this little sort of voiceover bit about why he's a good thing and why he's a bad thing. And then we finally get a zoom up right on the statue, and these floodlights come on, and you see False God spray painted right across Superman's chest where his symbol is. That was a really, really cool moment. And then we get a few shots of Superman, and it seems like he has his own army, because he's in this like hallway, and there's like these police SWAT looking dudes, and they sort of bow down to him as he's walking down the hallway, and they've got like the Superman emblem, the S, on their shoulders, which was really intriguing. So I want to know what is going on there. That's really, really strange. And then we get our first real look at Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne and Batman. And the first shot we get is of Bruce Wayne looking at the Batman costume, the one that's very, very reminiscent of The Dark Knight Returns, the Frank Miller novel. And then we get Alfred's voice over the top, talking about how good people can become cruel. And it seems like Alfred's sort of trying to convince Batman to go after Superman. And then we get a few shots of Batman in the suit, and then probably the coolest shot is right at the end, and we get Batman in his like big sort of, I guess, Superman Buster Batman armor, looking up at Superman who's floating above him, and he just says, "Do you bleed?" And Batman comes down and lands on the ground, and he's just like, "You will." And I got to say, I got that a little bit of that feeling of just like, ooh, I really do want to see this, because it is Batman versus Superman. You can't really not be excited about that. A lot of people have been like, oh, it's too dark, it's too brooding, it's not as good as the Avengers. Well, they're two completely different stories. The Avengers does rely on that element of fun, but I have heard that Age of Ultron does take a darker tone. But this really, I mean, the tone was set with Man of Steel. It wasn't a great movie, at least according, like, I don't think it was a great movie, but it did set this tone for this new DC universe. It is going to be a lot more darker and brooding than previous movies, say Green Lantern, for example, which wasn't very good at all. So they've sort of just wiped the slate clean, started off with Man of Steel, and they've really set up this darker tone. And I'm sort of okay with it. I can deal with having it a bit darker. So I really want to know where they go with this. But the whole idea of everyone being sort of like, is Superman a good guy? Is he a bad guy? You got Lex Luthor in there after him. You got Batman in there after him. And it's a legitimate point, because, I mean, he destroyed Metropolis at the end of Man of Steel, but he also defeated Zod and got rid of the atmospheric thingos that were trying to destroy the Earth. So really, there's a legitimate argument on both sides whether people would be confused whether he is a good guy or whether he's a bad guy, whether he's good for the Earth or bad for the Earth. So the idea and the premise that it's setting up is actually quite intriguing, and I'm quite looking forward to where it goes. I guess the thing is, with a teaser trailer like this, did it get me excited for the movie? Yes, it did. I'm very, very keen to see where this goes. I'm looking forward to a much longer form trailer where we might get our first look at Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. I'm really looking forward to seeing him, because he's sort of the one thing I'm still a bit iffy about. Like, I heard his voice and that was fine, but I need to see him with the bald head and talking and being Lex Luthor before I'm sort of buying into him as Lex Luthor completely. So looking forward to a more long-form trailer, but I do understand where a lot of people are just like, oh, it's too dark. Well, that's the tone. That's where they're going with this universe. So I get that, and I think this teaser did enough to get people who weren't excited keen, and people who are already excited like myself, because, again, it's Batman versus Superman. I mean, that's two of the biggest properties in all of comic books ever fighting. I mean, Who wouldn't be looking forward to that? I know I am, definitely. Anyway, guys, tell me what you thought. And as always, I'll catch you in the next one.